All right, man, today we're going to talk about digital scarcity, which I know seems like an oxymoron. In fact, the mere concept of that is the reason why I didn't invest in Bitcoin in 2009, which was so dumb, or 2011, I think, or 10 or something like that. And it was so stupid that I didn't even think of looking into it at all. I just wrote it off because my boy told me about it, and I was like, all right, what is it? And he's like, it's digital money. And I was like, that's dumb. That's the dumbest thing you could ever make is digital money. That's what I sounded like. It's so dumb, you guys. What? Digital money? Why are you doing that? That's exactly how I sounded. So dumb. So, I know it's tough for people to understand, right? Especially folks that, like, you know, they just haven't been keeping up with the digital world that's been built around us for the last 30 years, you know what I mean? And it's really difficult for them to grasp, like, what? You know, digital scarcity? You know, a digitally material thing that a limited number of people can have access to or own? What? You know, it's like breaking their consciousness there, you know what I mean? It's tough. I get it. You know, you're used to houses and cars and gold and diamonds and, you know, liquor, you know what I'm saying? But digital money, like, what? But your bank does it, even though your bank gets hacked every single day, like literally every single day. Major banks are getting hacked and somebody's identity is getting stolen or their bank account's getting drained. Your bank does it though. But Bitcoin does it in a more secure way than your bank. There's never been a hack in 12 years on Bitcoin. You know, exchanges have gotten hacked. That's not Bitcoin, though. That's an exchange. I don't know what they're doing over there. You know what I mean? But on Bitcoin, like, no, it's secure. It's the most secure database that's ever existed to our knowledge, right, that we know of. And it's built with, like, I mean, some of the most advanced mathematics and computer engineering that, you know, people... you know, it's ever existed. There's some people making that argument. You know, maybe we don't go that far, right? But it's really high level stuff. So, digital scarcity, right? The way that this exists is Satoshi Nakamoto figured out a way to solve the Byzantine fault problem. And the Byzantine fault problem, I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole nother video. But it basically is like, okay, how do you prevent a double spend on the network? Double spend is when I pay Bobby $5 and I take that same $5 and I pay Tommy because it's digital. Like I could do that, right? How do you prevent that? Now, normally the way you prevent it is with a centralized, you know, entity that controls everything. It's normally how you do it. But with Satoshi Nakamoto, if he did that, right, then he'd be the king of Bitcoin. And we'd just be back to the same problems that we have with fiat, where we have to trust a person who controls all of the money that we're killing ourselves for and killing each other for, right? Which we don't want to do. And that's not what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to do either. He was not pro-banker, banking establishment, you know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't about that. And so how does he create a currency that's digitally scarce, that's also, very secure, that is impossible to commit a double spend on? And he did that by relinquishing control over the network, and he spread the control out evenly to anyone who wants to participate. And till this day, if you want to participate in the control of Bitcoin, which is not even control, it's more like securing Bitcoin. It's not like controlling Bitcoin, like, you know, oh, I want to take Bitcoin away from Teddy. Nah, it's more like making sure that the integrity of the system is intact. If you want to do that, all you got to do is download the Bitcoin client and, you know, literally click the options to run a node, run a full node, mine, you know, etc. So now when you have digital scarcity, you know, what could you do with that, right? What could you do with digital scarcity? With digital scarcity, bruh, I can make something like a painting, the only one of its kind in the world, right? And even though it exists digitally, I could view it digitally, I could share it digitally. When it comes to ownership, it's only mine. I'm the only one who has it. What else? Let's say I created a blockchain that was keeping track of data. All right, let's say we do that, and it's keeping track of money, right? And I set a limit on how much money there is in existence. All right, you got to follow me here. You got to follow me. I'm setting a limit on how much money of the currency I made is in existence. And because it's digitally scarce and you cannot reproduce that money, you cannot violate the ledger, and if you have some, you have complete sovereignty. You can only relinquish control by either giving up the key to the access point, to the wallet, or by sending that coin out somewhere to somebody else. It's the only way you could do it. Okay. When I do that, right, if that currency is valuable, it's literally like digital gold. Okay. It's literally like digital gold. Gold is we don't know where it's at, right? Like until it's in your hand, you don't know where it is, right? And we don't know how much is out there, but in order to get it, somebody has to find some of it somewhere and then dig and spend an enormous amount of energy and effort and resources to dig through the earth, to sift the earth in order to come up with the amount of gold that they find, you know what I mean? That they would seem worth their while. And then, they take that and it's measured by a certain weight, and you bring it to the marketplace and you tell the marketplace, hey, I want to sell this gold for 1,000 an ounce or 2,000 an ounce or 5,000 an ounce or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So you do that, and that's how we have gold. Bitcoin is the same way. Except there's two things, right? Is that we know how much is out there. We know that there can only be 21 million Bitcoin ever, okay? And we also know what it takes to mine it, and we also know when the last of it is going to be mined. With gold, I could find a gold mine somewhere, or I could, harness an asteroid, and that might have a ton of gold on there, and take all the gold off the asteroid, or if one hits the earth, and like vibranium did for Wakanda, and there'd just be a mountain of gold there, sitting there for anybody to come get, stuff like that, right? That can happen, and if you're holding gold, that plummets the price of your gold, unfortunately. It destroys your gold. But that can't happen with Bitcoin. You're not going to be able to find more Bitcoin out there. There's other cryptocurrencies, but there's not other Bitcoin. They're not the same. And so when you create something that's digitally scarce, like a currency, now owning, let's just say I owned one whole Bitcoin. And, if I did hold one whole Bitcoin and I'm not a millionaire, that means that there's a millionaire out there who can't own a Bitcoin because I own a Bitcoin, because it doesn't matter how much money you have, it's a digitally scarce asset, right? It doesn't matter if I took all my money and I spent it 50 grand on one Bitcoin and now I own one Bitcoin. That doesn't matter in the grand scheme of, of people who have money. You can have $1 trillion. If you're not able to get your hands on a Bitcoin, you won't have a Bitcoin. And that's something to think about, right? There's 47 millionaires in the world. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. And if there's maybe somebody like me, if I had a Bitcoin, I literally have a Bitcoin that a millionaire cannot have. You know what I'm saying? And even if all the millionaires came and bought all the Bitcoin early on, that'd only be 21 million out of 47 million millionaires who could have a Bitcoin, because it's a digitally scarce asset. So, when you have people that say like, oh, the government's just going to buy it all, they're not going to buy mine. They can't buy mine. I'm not selling. You know what I mean? How many more people are like me that are not selling? There's people who got 20 and 50 and 1,000 Bitcoin and 10,000 Bitcoin, and they're not selling. You know what I mean? So, you know, so digital scarcity, right? It's important to understand this concept, because when you have digital scarcity and you understand the concept of digital scarcity and you understand how it could work, you change your perspective of the value proposition of the asset you're looking at, because you realize the mechanics of scarcity and how they are practical and, you know, already operating. You know what I'm saying? When you come to that conclusion, you start to think a bit differently about Bitcoin, right? So people who don't understand Bitcoin, what they do is they flick in something, like they treat it like going to the casino. Like, I just throw in something. If I lose it, I lose it. If I don't, I don't, right? And that's what they do. People who understand Bitcoin, who took 2-3 months, you know, here and there, finding time to understand it, yo, we all feel like we don't have enough. We all have a perpetual feeling that we may not have enough Bitcoin, and we work towards getting enough. And that's what I'm saying, man. You gotta learn. You learn. If you learn more, you're gonna make more money in crypto. I don't know about if that works, if that concept works in any other thing. I think it does, but I don't know. But I know in crypto, if you learn more, you're gonna make more money. So, you know, with digital scarcity, what else can you do? I can make a painting in the digital space, in the cloud, in the ether, and there can literally be only one of that painting, and I could be the sole owner of that painting. The Mona Lisa, people take pictures of it, people have posters of it, nobody owns it, right? Like, if the picture was just as good as being the owner of the painting, owning the picture of it was just as good as being the owner of the painting, you know, then why would we go see it somewhere, and why would we care who owns it, right? And that's the thing with digital scarcity. You know, if you have something that, all right, Beeple's art piece, I forgot the name of it, but it was 5,000 pieces of art that he created. He made one piece of art every day. He made 5,000 total, and he put it all into one picture, okay? And he sold it for $70 million, right? He also sold each one of those pieces too before, you know what I mean? And as NFTs. But then he sold the whole the whole 5,000 piece amalgamate, you know, he sold that for $70 million. You could only do that in a digital space. You cannot do that in the real world. Like, 5,000 paintings, you know, where would you put it? Like, you'd have to sell a whole building. Somebody would buy a building, and that's how they would have 5,000 of your paintings. Because in this JPEG, you can zoom in all the way until the one single painting is full res. If you own it, you can see the whole thing, right? And so you could do that digitally. If I created a blockchain where instead of measuring coin, or I had it to where we're monitoring coin, but that coin was designated or specified a piece of real estate, you know, in a digital world. So like the data of that coin was interpreted to be like a square space or a globe, right? And if I sell a coin that corresponds to a part of the globe and a piece of property on that globe, right? I can make digital land. And that's what Decentraland is, okay? It's digital land. There's a few others too that are out there. Some of this digital land, bro, I wish I bought, you know, we had some mana. I think we still got some mana. It's just a little bit, man. You know, it's another dumb moment. Decentralized land, oh, that's so dumb. So I've been the dumbest. I literally could have bought Bitcoin so early, and I could have bought Decentraland super early. I could have just kept on buying swaths of the digital world. And you know, some of this stuff is selling for 500 grand, 2 mil, 7 mil. It's crazy, bro. It's digital land because it's digitally scarce, right? So like you could do, you could do a lot with that land. You could convert it into something where, you know, a VR, interaction game can now exist and interact with a digital interpretation of that land. You know what I'm saying? And people could see ads on it. You could brand it. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff. You could shoot videos there, you know. And even though it's digital land, I know it sounds crazy, like digital land, but you could do those kinds of things, right? With decentralized land. And then we're just talking about what we're doing today, right? Like, I don't know what kind of technology is going to exist in 5 years, in 10 years, where if you had digital land, you won, because they're able to do much more with that, you know, digital land in the future than we are today. Like, all this stuff is still brand new. You know, I remember Atari and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If I were to tell you that, all right, when you were playing Mario on regular Nintendo, if I were to tell you that in 25 years or 30 years, I'm going to put on a headset, all right, where the entire world is visible here, and I'm going to play with other people who are around the world, you know what I'm saying, on a headset via the internet, you know, and we'll be shooting at each other in real time. Like, dude, you'd be like, maybe. You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that's definitely gonna happen, guys. I can see that. It's a very practical chain of events there. It should happen in 15 years. 25 is too late. You know, like you wouldn't go for that. You know what I'm saying? And I want you to think about the world not in today, in today's lens. Okay, I want you to think about where we're going. Like, make your decision in terms of, you know, you can make a decision for what you need to happen in the short term, but you should really be having, you know, your conscious brain analyzing where we're going, and then making decisions in that direction for you and your life. You know what I'm saying? So, digital scarcity, man, it's a powerful, powerful concept. It is that is now realized. It was not realized before, but it is now a real thing. Digital scarcity. They're going to be able to apply that in many, many ways. We're just seeing the tip of this iceberg. But owning Bitcoin is owning digital scarcity. Same with Ethereum. Same with any asset that doesn't have an inflation rate, right? That's not being continuously mined year over year. But Bitcoin, it's property that nobody can access but you. Nobody can seize, nobody can garnish, nobody can stop you from sending it from one wallet to another. You know what I'm saying? There's a limited amount of the Bitcoin out there. Okay, so just so you know, it's 21 million Bitcoin total. It's a little over. It's like it's not exactly 21 million, but there's 21 million Bitcoin total. 5 million of it is gone and lost forever. I think actually 6 million. 6 million of it said to be gone and lost forever because people sent it to incorrect wallets, or people threw it away in the garbage back early on when Bitcoin was just beginning. And you could get 12 Bitcoin for 1 penny. And people were paying 40,000 Bitcoin for a pizza, right? Look how far we've gone. Like, if you think that this is it, you think we're done going somewhere, I'll see you in 5 years. You know what I mean? We can test that theory, you know? But people used to pay 40,000 Bitcoin for a couple pizzas, all right? 40,000 Bitcoin for a couple pizzas. Think about that. So anyway, so there's 6 million gone and lost forever. Excuse me. That brings us down to 15 million. Out of the 15 million, the top 10 wallets in the world own 4 million Bitcoin. Yeah. Top 10 wallets in the world own 4 million Bitcoin, including Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet, who has 1 million Bitcoin. And for anybody who's out there like, oh, look, we're just back to fiat because so many of these people have this money. No, we're not back to fiat, because somebody else being rich has nothing to do with my pocket. Somebody else having Bitcoin has nothing to do with how much Bitcoin I have. Zero to do with it. And if they, like today, you could spend your money and you get a tax write-off. You could, in a way that you could write it off, and essentially, you could get it back. In some ways, you can get the whole thing back, or not have to pay any taxes, right? There's ways that you could finagle the system. You could just borrow money and spend that money, and and all that. I mean, there's so many ways you could finagle the system where, you know, because they print it, they can have options for you, being that you're rich. You know what I mean? You can't do that with Bitcoin. Once you spend it, it's gone. You need to spend it in a way that's going to produce a return, or else that's it. There's no loophole. There's no nothing. Nobody can help you. Not the government. Nobody. Not even Satoshi Nakamoto could help you. He doesn't even have control over the thing, over the Bitcoin network. So, you know, if you spend it, it's gone. So, you know, you could have 500,000 Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if you spend it. That you're done. So that's now we're down to 15 million. 4 million is in the top 10 wallets. We're down to 11. 3 million Bitcoin are still left in the Bitcoin network to be mined. It costs about $12,000 to mine a Bitcoin, and 7 days of continuously running a high-powered GPU. That $12,000 goes into spending on electricity in order to mine it. The last Bitcoin will be mined in 2145. So there's 3 million Bitcoin in the network left to be mined. That brings from 11 down to 8 million. Now, 7 billion people need to share 8 million Bitcoin, and there's many people not counted in the top 10 that got 20, 30, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000 Bitcoin. There's a ton of people who got 3 and 4 and 5 Bitcoin, and there's many people who have 1, right? And so, you know, we're talking about digital scarcity. 7 billion people need to share 8 million Bitcoin, and most of that is already spoken for. You know, the statistic today is that 93% of the Bitcoin on exchanges has not moved in the last 60 days. So, and the exchanges were already scarce in terms of how much Bitcoin they hold, but now 93% of that Bitcoin is not, you know, is not moved. So people are not selling. People are holding it. So yeah, man, digital scarcity. Think about it. Watch more videos about it. Read about it. I love you. Hope everything works out. All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, for real. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that you check out these videos. And please, if you have a loved one or somebody you care about and you think that they could benefit from being in crypto, man, please send them a video that has helped you. I think it would be good for them. It would be a good way to pay this forward, right? So, love you. Peace.